Olá pessoal, nós estamos começando agora mais um episódio do Cast for Closers, o podcast para dominar inside sales e colocar suas metas no bolso. Hoje a gente vai falar com o Gabe Larsen. A gente já gravou um outro episódio com ele sobre cadência de vendas e mais recentemente eles lançaram na insidesales.com um estudo chamado Time-Based Closing Strategies, The High Cost of Procrastination, que foca especificamente no efeito de campanhas de fim de mês no funil de vendas das empresas. Como o Gabe fez parte desse estudo, eu convidei ele para fazer um segundo episódio com a gente. Ele não fala português, então o episódio vai ser todo em inglês. So Gabe, it's wonderful to have you a second time in our podcast. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, man, it's always great to be on. It's always good talking with you, Diego. And, you know, I told my wife today that I was jumping on with you. And she lived in Brazil for 2 years. And so she has an affinity for the country and was jealous that I was talking to somebody from her, from a good memory in her mind.
That's so nice. You guys should come back anytime here in Brazil. And you need to visit Florianopolis on the south.
That's right.
Can you give us just a quick introduction about your work at InsideSales.com?
Yes, of course. So I've been at InsideSales.com 4 years. For those of you who don't know Inside Sales, the company, we consider ourselves the leader in sales acceleration technologies. That's technology to help top-of-funnel sales around prospecting and bottom-of-funnel sales around pipeline management and forecasting. Now, I've done many hats at this company. I started our strategic consulting team that's now called Momentum that helps companies set up and optimize their sales process. But at the moment, I run what we call Inside Sales Lab. So that is our research and best practice group. So I mostly am on the front lines trying to study what are the best practices and then do research studies like we're going to be talking about today.
That's so cool. And about this study that is called Time-Based Closing Strategies, the High Cost of Procrastination, I read it like two weeks ago, and it just blew my mind, man, because it brings a lot of data and light to a topic that is difficult to discuss. That is the effect of end-of-the-month strategies to reach the sales goals. So for the people that didn't make the download of the study yet, we're going to put the link on this podcast. Can you give us a quick briefing about it and tell us the motivation behind doing it?
Yeah, you know, sometimes in the role I have, this just kind of came, you know, we were talking with our own internal team, and one of the challenges they face is, and we, you know, it's funny, we do this at our own company. We've had this problem at our own company where end of month, end of quarter, it's kind of like all hell breaks loose, you know.
Crazy.
My French there, you know, everything goes crazy. People are running around and trying to close deals and doing whatever they can to close deals. And so we wondered if other companies were experiencing this problem. And if so, was it a good thing or was it a bad thing? Now, the great thing about this study, Diego, is that I've talked to a couple researchers, and, you know, a lot of research out there, and it's not bad, but, you know, they will ask sales reps or managers or leaders what they think. And it's a great concept. They'll ask 1,000 or 10,000, but it focuses on what people think they do, not what they're actually doing. What we're able to do at InsideSales.com, you know, we have access to 100 billion sales interactions. That's top of funnel, bottom of funnel. We've got some fun studies we're looking at around cadence strategies, prospecting strategies, but we're able to actually look at the actual data and see what people don't think what they're doing, but what they are actually doing. So in this case, we dove into the data and we looked at 151 companies, and you and I were just talking. These are larger companies, so the average revenue of these companies, there was a couple smaller ones, but they're pretty big. Average revenue was like $300 million a year.
Pretty big.
So bigger, and again, that's average. So you had some that were smaller, but you had some that were, you know, quite a bit bigger. So 151 companies, large. So international. We had some sales reps who participated in this, or at least their data. who are selling in the currency, in the yen, some EMEA, some pound, British pound, certainly North America, some South America. And then we looked at 9.8 million sales opportunities over a little over 2 years. So it's like...
it's such a great number.
Right, yeah. So, I talked to some of my research buddies, and they were just like, you looked at how many sales opportunities? Again, this is not interviewing 1,000 people. This is looking at almost 10 million sales opportunities across 2 years to figure out what is going on at the end of the month and end of the quarter. And some really interesting stuff came out of it.
For sure. I just love the data, love the study. And Gabe, in the study, we saw that weekdays with the highest close rates are Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with almost like 15% higher close rates compared with Friday, the last day of the week. What kind of framework for sales activities this data tell us to use? As an example, focus in prospecting on Monday, closing on the next 3 days, and coaching on Friday is an option, or you guys just use another kind of framework?
Yeah, the week one is a little bit harder, in some cases to pull some real takeaways from. I would probably say the first big takeaway on the weekdays is the difference between weekdays and weekends. And that just digresses a little bit from what you're saying, and I'll get back to that in just a minute. But
okay.
My first big takeaway was during the week versus weekend. The weekend, your close rate and your deal size is terrible.
Yes.
Which, indicates, look, certainly, I've experienced this as a sales rep. Sometimes at the end of the month, we come in on a Saturday or a Sunday to try to close more deals. And what we're seeing is that that's almost not worth it, to push customers when they don't want to be working.
Yeah, so don't sell on weekends.
What's that? Go home?
That is the takeaway. Don't sell on weekend.
Yeah, and sales reps should like that, right? It's like, hey, take your weekends off and enjoy it.
Yes.
Now, the thing is that now just focusing on weekdays for a minute, the weekday followed kind of the same principle as the month. As you think about the week, the Friday, the last day of the work week, like the last day of the month, that's going to be a bad day to try to close deals. Now, what you want to do is two things. One is you want to make sure you try to manage your deals throughout the entire week. One of the things we did find when we qualitatively looked at some of this data was that at the end of the week, reps will clean up their pipe. So on Friday or towards the end of the month, they'll start to do stuff that just, they'll close out deals that they haven't worked with, or they'll just clean out some of their deals. So one of the takeaways is try to manage your pipeline throughout the entire week or month so that you actually have an accurate pipeline. But the second concept is you got to go where the gold is. And this may sound a little bit foolish, but you have a way better chance, 15% better chance of winning a deal on Tuesday than you do on Friday. Now, look, I didn't make it up. We just looked at 9.8 million sales opportunities. So we believe when we talk to some of the companies and sales leaders, Monday I'm getting back into work as a customer, and I've got all my emails from the rest of the week, or from the weekend that I'm trying to catch up on. As I get towards the end of the week, Friday, I'm trying to cut out early, and I'm trying to kind of prepare for my weekend. So that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday becomes your optimal time, with Tuesday being the best. And so if I'm a sales rep, I would try to start guiding my conversations around that. How do I try to get that closing conversation to happen when I'm more likely to win, and it's going to be during the week? And sometimes that sounds a little weird, Diego. It sounds a little weird to say that.
But it's like 10 million deals.
It's the data, right? I don't know. It's what 10 million deals say, right? So it's kind of weird, but I would structure your week like that.
Okay, we are going to try something like this on me time, and then I can share with you and with our audience the results.
Good. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see.
Reading the research, I found out a lot of other cool data, like increasing almost 3 times the number of deals closed in the end of the month, but 11 times more deals lost in the same period. We saw, again, a 51% drop in win rate and 34% decrease in deal size. So looking to these numbers, what is the first thing a company should do to avoid losing so many deals and so much revenue? There is a thing that they can stop doing it.
Yes, so you've got to take each one of those points and probably handle it slightly different.
Okay.
The first one you mentioned is just killer. It's incredible. And this is why every company falls into this trap. There's a euphoric effect, a kind of a fake effect that happens at the end of the month because sales leaders see that 3 times more deals are actually closed.
Yes.
So you talk to a sales leader.
So they stay happy with this.
Yeah, right. They'll say, Gabe, the end of the month isn't bad. We close way more deals at the end of the month. And guess what? They're right. They're absolutely right. But what they don't realize, because a lot of them aren't looking at the reports this way, they're losing 11 times that number of deals at the end of the month, meaning, again, we're cleaning out pipeline, we're forcing deals, we're closing deals that aren't necessarily ready. So it's a weird thing. We are closing more, but we're losing way more. So then you take one step deeper and you say, okay, now deal size is dropping 35% on the last day of the month.
1/3.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's 1/3 of the value. It's like a 35% discount to close deals on the end of the month.
Yeah, it rounds to 35%, which, again, if you're a sales rep, I've now had hundreds of sales reps read this report, and I'm getting these messages, and they're telling me, it's just that that's totally true. This is absolutely happening, and sales leaders are allowing it to happen. They're giving the approval to allow sales reps to do this because they think they're closing more deals, and it's causing some real big problems, because if you lose, 1/3 of your deal size, that's going to really affect revenue a lot. And then lastly, that win rate, right? That win rate is basically translating and saying, yes, you are winning more deals at the end of the month, but you're losing so much more that your ability to close, and if you could just break it down, your ability to close on the last day of the month drops 51%. It's just, Diego, it's like this perfect storm. It's sales, sales reps at the end of that last day of the month. If I was a sales rep, I probably wouldn't even show up. I probably wouldn't even come into work. It's devastating to the company if I come to work, because when you look at the results, if you didn't drop your deal size by 35%, if you didn't drop your win rate by 51%, you would increase your annual revenue by 27%. Now, Diego, I sit with sales leaders all the time, and you know what they tell me? They say, Gabe, I can't hit my quota. The numbers are too high. What I'm telling you right here, Diego, is if people don't be stupid,
they will.
On the last day of the month, they would increase their revenue 27%. What leader would not want to increase his revenue by 27%?
No, it's everybody.
It's crazy. It's just crazy.
So, like, one thing that we can infer from this is, like, don't overlook the short-term goal, but look for the long run. Like, look for the quarter, the semester, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably say there's a couple takeaways. One is just educating. I mean, ask any salesperson, and they know what they do at the end of the month and quarter. What they don't know What no one has ever done is quantify how much it's costing companies. And this report is the first to do that. So first of all, you just got to educate, like you said, people need to know how devastating this is. Number two is you've got to then be smarter. You've got to get more visibility into your pipeline, and you've got to be able to know when to push and when to pull. Now, no sales leader ever wants to push a deal, but I'm telling you, some deals aren't ready. And when you unnaturally pull them forward to make that month or that quarter's number, you lose out, obviously, on more money in the future.
They are going to
so
break.
You've got to know, you got to get better visibility to know when to push and pull. The third thing is you've got to get away from time-based closing interactions. I was on the phone literally 1 month ago with the sales rep, and I heard him say to a sales leader, to his prospect, if you wait a few weeks towards the end of my month, I'll be able to get you a better deal.
Oh.
And that, it's not just the sales rep's fault, right? I mean, sales reps do that.
Is that
sales
culture?
Leaders do that. I mean, more. There's a lot of reasons that this is happening, but we've got to get away from educating our customers to buy at the end of a month or of an end of a quarter. A lot of people are using that as a selling strategy. We need to move from time-based strategies to value-based strategies. If you can sell more on value, then you don't have to, wait a little bit towards the end of the month, and then I'll get you a better deal, then you can buy. You turn the conversation to, I'm going to be able to increase your revenue by 10%, so you might as well buy now. That value-based conversation can really make a big, big difference in how you solve this problem for organizations.
Yeah, I saw this problem in the same way. And last week I was talking about this with some sales VPs here from companies in Brazil. And they are trying to do kind of a different thing. That is using compelling on in a weekly basis. So,
yes.
And different compellings. Like, if you can close this deal with us now, we can give you not a discount, but a free online course of digital marketing or sales. I don't know if you guys already tried this or you have an opinion about it.
Well, so a couple things on that. One is I've seen a lot of companies, you can really affect that deal size number. Deal size drops 35%, but you can positively affect that by paying on margin, not by paying on the money that you earn or your quota, but by paying on how profitable that deal is. That'll make sure that that reps don't drop deal size too much. So that's one tactical thing you can do. I love what you said, creating other compelling events, but you got to be careful because some people have tried to create other. They said, well, why don't we move our year end around and try to do it at a different time?
And they just run out in the same problem.
That's right. Yeah, same problem. So anytime you create compelling events, people are going to move towards them, especially if they're time-based. So if you can create other compelling events that are more value-driven, so what you just said was a value-driven, time-based event. It still is urgency. You've got to create urgency, but what you did it for was a value-based concept rather than a time-based or something that actually affects my revenue. So again, this is all new, Diego. So I don't know. We're still trying to figure out what some of the answers are as companies start to implement a couple different ideas. But I think you've hit a couple great concepts there.
Perfect, Gabe. Can you give for us just like a last and final message for the audience, for the companies that are still using time-based closing strategies on the end of the month or the quarter? What would you say to them? They stop doing it. What they can change as a last message to stop the harmful, compelling ways of closing deals?
Yeah, I would just say you got to go with baby steps. I mean, this could be a major change in your organization. So I know their pains. I've been a sales leader. I know what it feels like. So you're having a hard time hitting your number, but by doing these types of strategies and tactics at the end of the month, you're costing yourself 27% increase in revenue. And so first things first, start the conversation. Start talking about this type of study with your managers, with other sales reps. Don't try to solve it in one go, but start communicating and having a dialogue about what this looks like in your organization. That, Diego, that to me, we got to just start there. We've all been doing it. Let's admit it and start talking about it. Then we can start changing it.
100% agree with you. For sure, we're going to start spreading this idea and talk about this topic in Brazil. Man, Gabe, I can't thank you enough for taking some time and talk to us here again for the second time. It's always a pleasure talking to you and to talk about a little about your experience in InsideSales.com. Again, thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Diego. Appreciate it.
Bye.